Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great session of the V-Day Hour. I am very excited because today my special guest is Iga Kurkowska, a yoga instructor, and how I like to call her, a total Zen. Iga was born in Poland in a town close to the mountains called Sanok. And she moved to Prague around 3 years ago because she wanted to experience a new country, a new culture, and dive into this experience in depth, let's say. And her journey with yoga, because we're going to speak today more about yoga and yoga as a lifestyle, has started in her teen years, and it still continues, but in a new posture. She decided to pursue professional training in Prague, which she successfully completed. And now she's teaching yoga. In 2020, when the pandemic started, she created a Facebook page called Yoga Iga and continued doing online yoga sessions to help fellow friends and colleagues to find stillness during pandemic times. Now that the restrictions are loosened up a bit, Iga is organizing outdoor yoga classes in Prague, and more specifically in Grabovka Park, and is welcoming all interested people. So today we are gonna all take a deep breath, and we're gonna let ourselves dive into the yoga world. And together with the yoga instructor, Iga, we shall discuss about yoga practice on the mat and off the mat. Well, with such a nice introduction, Iga, I would like to hand it over to you and welcome you to this session. How are you today?
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. I'm very good. I hope you are fine too, and everyone on the other side of the screen. I'm really happy that we can talk about yoga.
I can see you're very excited. I can feel the energy, so I very much look forward as well. Let's get down to it. I think although we hear a lot about yoga, although we all know it, kind of, right? Please explain to us what is actually yoga. Is it a religion? Is it an initiative? Is it a process? What is yoga and how do you define it so that it's really clear for everyone?
Mhm. Yeah, I know there are probably lots of ideas about what yoga is. What could it be? I would say yoga is a practice that combines a few disciplines, and I would say the most important ones. Physical practice that is probably most known for everyone. So yoga poses, so what we see when we watch, I don't know, a yoga class. Then a very important part, I would say, yeah, very, very important part is a meditation. So when we try to, keep our mind on very low speed,
Mm-hmm.
and then the breath control. This is also very important part of yoga. That also, so all of that combined together makes yoga as a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. But how did you actually get into that, and what motivated you to go deeper into this practice?
So, like you mentioned at the beginning, I first time I was in touch with yoga, it was when I was teenage girl, and my mom in my small town in Poland in the mountains, one day she said, "Look, there are these yoga classes that I'm going to come with me." So I went with her once, and already then I really liked it, and I took it first of all as, let's say, spiritual practice first of all, and I really liked the idea first, but I was still very young. I think I didn't really think about it much. And then I would have continued doing yoga at that time. And then when I was at university, I somehow, I don't even remember how, I think my friends around me, they were, I think also it was their influence. They kind of told me to join them. And this is when I started with yoga more intensively. So I took some yoga classes in the studio, and then I was in not the best mental state. I was not
Mm-hmm.
feeling very well. I had some emotional issues, and this is when I started doing yoga even more, and I realized that it actually helped me a lot. And since then, I'm not, I'm not going yoga far away from me. I'm not letting it leave me because I can see that it's really very useful time for me. So yeah, and then I was doing it so much and more and more and more, and then I also realized that I would like to spread it and show others how amazing it is. So I took the yoga training in Prague Yoga Collective. It's one of the studios in Prague, uh, and that was last year in winter, just before the crazy pandemic year started. We finished the training. So I got more certificate, and since then I started teaching people. Yeah. So this is how it started.
So would you say that emotional stability and yoga are correlated? And if so, then how?
Yeah, that's definitely true. So those three main things that make yoga: the physical practice, meditation, and breath practice, it combined all together, it simply helps our mind a lot and our body to feel balanced, and maybe keep the mind clear and more mindful, which is also another very, I would say, famous word recently. So I would actually like to stop here for a moment because I think maybe not everyone is really familiar with what actually mindfulness is.
Mhm.
So I would say it's ability to pay attention to things around us, to be aware of what's happening inside of us, in our mind, in our body, and around us. So that's very important, I would say, for everyone, not to forget to pay attention to what's happening. How am I feeling? What do I need? What's maybe there's something wrong with my body that I need to help with, I need to work on, just to pay attention to things. Uh, so I'm getting away from the question, I think.
No, 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 this is
What
good.
did you ask? The emotional, yes. So when we are mindful, we can spot the things that we need to work on, we need to change, or maybe we need to keep things that we are good at. And, for example, I don't know, eating healthy. So we need to realize things and then go on, which makes us imbalanced emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, however you call it. So definitely, like you said, the emotional balance as well.
And it's interesting that you mentioned mindfulness because it kind of seems so easy in theory, right? But then when you would go to the practical part, like not everybody is like able to do it, or somebody feels like, no, I don't need it, like I don't need this in my life. So how do we actually
Hmm.
bring awareness in our lives that this is important and we really need to listen to ourselves and to uh, pay attention?
Hmm. Yes, just like you were saying, not everyone, not many people actually maybe even think that there is a need for them to be mindful. So I would say the first step, how to get on the way, is to believe that this is what you need. You need to be mindful, to be happy, to be balanced, to feel fulfilled, and understand what I want from myself and from others. So yeah, the first thing, I know I need it and I want it. As this is the starting point. When we are already here, we want to understand what is happening. Then we need to start practicing it. And there are a few ways how to do it. Yoga is one of them. Being on the mat in the practice, following the teacher probably, or maybe when you are already at the level of yoga, you can practice yoga by yourself. You feel confident and you know the asanas, then doing it by yourself. Uh, the physical practice that is very much connected with the breath practice. In yoga, we always follow the breath. The breath is the most important part of the practice on the mat. Inhale, and then you go in the pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, another movement, release, exhale. So learning this is the second step. And I know that a lot of people do the physical practice, but they are not big fans of meditation. I think simply because it's very difficult and might seem not really attractive, maybe boring for someone who never tried. But I promise once people try, of course not once. Once is not enough. You can't really understand how it goes when you do it for 10 minutes once, but give yourself a chance to do it maybe for, I don't know, a week, every day, a bit, 5 minutes. You can maybe start from 1 minute. And you start realizing changes, that you are more calm. Maybe it takes you more time to react on things, which is good. For example, something makes us angry. I don't know. We are walking on the street. There's a car. Uh, I don't know, going too fast, and we get angry. When we do meditation, there is gap in between the reaction and what we show to outside world. So I don't know. There's a car going too fast, and I'm thinking, why is it going so fast? I don't like it. But before we think, we know, aha, I'm gonna be angry in, I don't know, in 2 seconds. And meditation makes us help to stop it. Okay, I don't need to get angry. It happened. I don't want to get angry. It's not good for me to get angry. It's not going to help anyone in this situation. So this is what meditation helps us to do, to slow down a little bit the emotions. So then we choose, do I want to get angry or not? We would choose not, of course, because it doesn't feel good for us. Yeah.
But I do hear a lot that some people are not necessarily against, but like I don't have time for it. I'm not into it, as you correctly said. So, what would be an alternative for people that are not into meditation? Are there any other practices that they can do instead of meditation that can also be beneficial for them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, also meditation has a different variations. It doesn't probably, I guess, maybe lots of people imagine that it's sitting like that with your eyes closed and trying, I don't know, levitate, but this is not exactly meditation. So there are lots of variations of this, but there are also something that I think now maybe we could call, maybe pop culture named as mindfulness. And that's, for example, having a walk. You even go to the shop next to your house, and you try to actually listen to what's happening in your body. How am I feeling now? Probably most of people going to the shop, they are analyzing, I don't know, what happened this day, or what do I need to do later? What am I going to cook for dinner? No, just leave the other thoughts away and think of how am I doing today? How is my body? How is my mind? One thing. Or think of what's around me. You realize you can look at people around you, be more mindful, listen to the sounds, maybe focus on the steps, focus on when you're touching the ground. Do we ever do that? I don't think many people do that. So that you feel the small details that are actually creating our space and our life. Or maybe this is what my mindfulness teacher told me, very, very, I think, useful for beginners. So when you're washing your hands, which we do every day a lot, try to feel the water on your hands, the soap, how does it feel on your skin? Then the towel, okay, I have my hands washed, takes 20 seconds. I don't think it's much of sacrifice to focus really only on this one small thing, but it brings you closer to being mindful about things around you. So this is how to start. there are a lot of different ways. We could do another session on mindfulness, how to practice mindfulness. But like I said, I think many people are not really keen on doing that because I think maybe they have some misconception in their mind about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I see. Now, these are all great tips.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And I would also assume that some people would need a guide, right? Or like, as we would call it, a yoga teacher as well. So, what, in your opinion, makes a great yoga teacher?
Hmm. Well, I think maybe everyone would answer for themselves because everyone has different needs. What I would expect from my yoga teacher would be understanding of my needs. So, how is my body? How is my mind? And what do I need from the practice? And focusing on that, which is, of course, not easy, especially when a teacher teaches a big group of people and maybe you don't know them personally. But I think already, just by the energy connection between two people, even looking into the eyes, you can already maybe start, feeling understanding something about the person, looking at the asana practices, so the poses. The teacher obviously sees what's fine, what needs to be corrected. So that's for sure another important part that the teacher needs to pay attention to students and help really them focus on them. Then the students are in the center, not the teacher. Yeah, and practicing good teacher needs to practice by himself a lot so that he's
Mhm.
able to teach others.
I see. And
Mhm.
then once there is a variety of experts, let's say, or teachers overall, and how do we know and how do we feel what is the right one for us? Or it
The
really
right teacher
depends on
for us.
the type of yoga. Yeah, for people that want to practice it. Or it's more about what type of yoga do you want to practice?
Mm, it's an interesting question. I would say it's both the type
Mhm.
and the type of yoga and the teacher as well. But I think living in a big city, there are so many teachers, or living in a small place, maybe there's just one teacher. It's very difficult to choose a teacher. We would really need a lot of time, maybe just that would take us maybe the whole day for the whole month to really find the teacher we like. If a person has access to different yoga studios or private teachers, I think the only way is to go for the lesson with a teacher and see how it feels simply.
Yeah.
If we feel a
Um,
connection, if we understand what the teacher wants from us. So I would
yeah.
say this is the way. Yeah,
Test, try and test, and then you go further, right?
exactly.
Very nice. And then I hear a lot from friends and people around that there are like people are confused about many types of yoga. How do we determine what is what generally?
Mhm. Yeah, this is another whole big topic, I would say. And speaking shortly, now what I see in living in Prague, there are a lot of studios and a lot of different classes practicing different types of yoga. Uh, there is, I think, a little bit of mix in between the styles. So we have, I don't know, hatha, vinyasa, the power yoga that are quite famous, maybe hot
Mhm.
yoga, which is quite different because it's in a hot room, like 40 degrees, and we are sweating a lot, and it's specific sequence, so specific asanas in hot yoga. So that's quite different. But the other ones, I feel like it gets mixed, at least maybe in our situation in Prague. I don't know how it works in other countries, in other cities. I would also, for the beginners, for sure, I wouldn't really worry that much about that. As also how the class looks like depends a lot on the teacher. So maybe the differences where in the definition there are differences, but then at the end of the day, it's up to the teacher how the class looks like, and the asanas might be very, mixed in between the styles. So yeah, for a person thinking which class should I choose, I wouldn't worry that much. Again, I would say go try, and you will see again and how the teacher is, how it feels for you. Yeah, and because it doesn't necessarily have to be, the class doesn't have to look like the definition says. So I would go and check.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And then we hear at all yoga classes that the class starts and ends with the word namaste, right?
Yeah.
And please explain what does that mean and how should we say it without crossing somebody's religion, right? So how does
Mhm.
this connect with yoga?
So yoga, I would start with that yoga is a very old, ancient practice coming from India. It's around 5,000 years old, and it's not a religion. It's a practice to get to be balanced, mentally, spiritually, physically,
Hmm.
and there are asanas, there are the poses that we do. So maybe, I don't know, downward facing dog, the famous one, child's pose. These are the asanas. And so, how the tradition says, the way of finishing the yoga session is to put your hands together. It's called Anjali Mudra,
Hmm.
and bow. And this is so Namaste in Sanskrit means I bow to you, which is kind
Okay.
of a thanking, think, thanking.
Thank
I'm
you.
thanking you for a practice together. Um, so it's just showing a gratitude, and being thankful for the time, for the practice together. Yeah, and yeah, I know maybe in Christian religion, like this sign maybe has completely another association, but it's two different things.
Mhm.
To be honest, I'm not really sure about the origin of this sign in Christian
Mhm.
religion. Not sure why
Mhm.
it's exactly this. Now I'm thinking it's close to our heart, which is considered as the very important organ, and the emotions are gathered here. This is where we feel it. So maybe that's why maybe it's here. We can, and the only part of our body that we can put also our heart, except of head, wouldn't be very comfortable. We put our hands here. Maybe that's why.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's nothing. It's nothing religion connected. It's just thanking for the practice.
It's all just good energy, right? And good energy to have the practice with all the group,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Nice.
exactly what you're saying.
Very nice. And since we're talking about these terms, I'm curious to know more about particular terms that are being used like extensively during yoga practice. For example, one of the term is Om. What does
Mm-hmm.
that
So in yoga, there are we do chanting, which is let's say kind of singing,
mean?
which brings us. We do that usually during the meditation, and it brings us closer to this clear, peaceful state of mind.
Mhm.
And we have different chants. One of them is Om. We have a lot of different ones. And I don't think we need to go into much details. I don't think it makes much sense to
Okay.
explain each of them. It's just one of the chants. And very often also teachers start and end the practice by chanting this with the students by repeating it once or three times or five times. These are the numbers that we use in yoga. Yeah, so different different types of chanting.
So, us as people that practice yoga, do we need to know that? Do we need to know the meaning and really yeah, be mindful about them, or it's not as important as really kind of come to this stability emotionally?
Mhm. Uh, I would say it's up to us. If we are a type of person that likes to know things and reason and technology and everything, it's for sure useful and nice to know for us. But for sure, we don't need to know.
Okay.
I am fan of this approach in life. Just do what you feel, and if you feel like knowing, check. If you don't, just does it feel good to you? Yes, do it, and
Mm.
take what it gives you. And I think probably this is how the body is built. The different sounds have impact on us. And simply chanting has a very good effect on us, on the feelings. That's
Mhm.
why probably some yogi, very clever yogi, 5,000 years back, had this amazing idea to create different chants.
I see. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah,
I'm just checking, also from the practical
yeah,
reasons. Like, okay, do we need?
yeah.
We don't need? All right, just
Mhm.
to make sure
It
that
depends.
we
Yeah. Ah, sorry.
have.
Just like it depends how deep you want to go in the topic. Like in everything, whatever we do. I don't know. We are making a coffee. Do we really want to know where it's coming from and the different types? Some people do, some people not, and it's fine. I think it's fine for
Mhm,
anything, all the
mhm.
options.
And a lot of people, for example, are not going into this practice because they have the perception that yoga is not for people that are not flexible. So if you're not
hmm
flexible, you cannot do yoga. Is that true? Um, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, of course not. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Why people don't need to be flexible. First of all, we get the flexibility with a practice. So if you are not, you get even another reason to go for yoga lesson to get more flexibility, which is good in your body to be able to move your body in the angles that it can, but we are not able to because of our different reasons. Lifestyle, probably most common reason. Sitting a lot, not moving too much, so our body is not used to movements that it could do. So yeah, of course, if one of you is thinking this, please don't go for yoga. And it doesn't matter in yoga how deep you can go in the pose. Can you bow completely to the floor? It doesn't really matter. It's all about you, and this is what matters. The only thing that matters in yoga is only you. And does it feel good to you? Does it help you? Yes. Okay, that's it. There's nothing. There's no hesitation. If you should do something, you might be, I don't know, maybe completely, I don't know, have problems with your back, and you maybe cannot, or your legs, anything. You cannot do some asanas at all. Doesn't really matter. For example, I had dislocated shoulder, which is quite severe accident, and I was thinking for some time, probably I can never teach yoga because I cannot use my arm as much as I could before, and it hurts and it might dislocate again. But then I had this good idea but does it really matter that much? And for who does it matter? For whom is it a problem? And then I realized it's only in my head. It's not stopping me from doing being a teacher, and I am a teacher, and I think, of course, I feel it. Sometimes it hurts. And so what? I'm doing what I can.
Mhm. So it's about just setting the intention and not being afraid to experiment and also practice slowly but surely, and not have the preconditions in your mind that some stuff is allowed or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
And then in the same line of thought, right? You cannot do yoga if you're not flexible, or I need to lose weight in order to do yoga. Where is this coming from?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Mm,
Why would someone think so? Maybe someone would think that in yoga you need to do the very difficult, physically very difficult asanas. No, not at all. And also probably most of the teachers cannot do that. Um, and again, it's about first of all, everyone's different, and that's amazing. And everyone is going to be different always. So some bodies are I don't know, more flexible genetically, and that's it. I have some students at my class, and sometimes it's people that maybe they don't really, maybe their lifestyle is, the sitting lifestyle. So it's, and they are very flexible because this is their body, way more flexible than mine while I'm doing yoga, every few times every week. Some bodies are slimmer, some bodies are less, and that's fine. if we want to lose weight, which is probably good for your health, for your body, and probably mind as well, often, but maybe not, and that's fine as well.
Yeah.
I'm really, I may be promoting like very, very open approach and accepting,
Mhm.
a lot of different situations. So yoga would probably help because we connect with ourselves more, and maybe next time I want to, I don't know, eat the chocolate that I know I shouldn't, but I'm connected to myself more, and I'm feeling, okay, I know it's really not what I want deeply, so I'm not
Mhm.
gonna do that.
Hmm. Awareness
Yeah,
again. Awareness
awareness
always.
again. Yeah.
All right. Then is yoga correlated to what you're eating? So are the benefits of yoga more visible if you're eating differently?
Uh, yeah, here, so yes, by tradition, yoga is very peaceful practice,
Mm-hmm.
meaning no harming anyone. First of all, not harming yourself, others. And in others, we not only mean people, we mean animals as well, and any beings in the world, nature. Uh, that means traditionally, yogis are not eating meat uh, simply because it's killing animals and we don't want to harm
Mm-hmm.
anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the topics, the vegetarian, maybe vegan diet. Um, and well, I am vegetarian for 15 years now, vegan slash vegetarian, depending on my the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe it's very good for us and for the planet. So I think I can't be really objective answering this question. I would say that it would be really perfect if everyone in the world was eating this way. Uh, but as well, I'm really keen on saying everyone chooses and everyone, does whatever he or she thinks is best for him and for the others. And of course, there are things we eat that are for sure not good for, like, anyone wouldn't probably agree understanding what it is, like sugars, for example. It's never gonna be good for your body, and as a consequence for your mind. So the healthier you eat, the more yoga you do, the better you feel.
Yeah. So it's not only yoga; you just feel better in general.
Yeah, exactly. For sure, I really believe that what we eat really influences how we feel physically and mentally. There's no hesitation about that for me.
Mhm.
And then everyone answers what is a good way of eating for him.
Exactly. So, and it's fine. You share your opinion, and we really appreciate that. And everybody, of course, has the right and has the choice to do whatever suits
Yeah,
him better, right? We're not here to impose anything. We are just here to
yeah,
share opinion and share what best suits for us, right?
yeah, yeah.
Nice, but it's also true that, or at least I've also experienced muscle cramps during yoga, right? And is that actually a result of not doing yoga correctly, or it's a normal process during this activity?
Mm-hmm. Uh, as far as I know, cramps are usually effect of not enough, missing some vitamins in the body. Firstly, magnesium. So if we get a lot of cramps, I would first check my blood if I'm not missing anything important.
Mhm.
And or we can, without even checking, we can just get magnesium in the pharmacy and take a pill a day and see if there is any difference. It won't harm us to get some extra vitamins. And then, yeah, sometimes, when our, maybe you, especially, I believe people get cramps in their legs. So it might be because they didn't really put the leg in the position that the leg liked. But that's not very common case. So if
Mhm.
someone gets lots of cramps, I would check with a doctor maybe first. Yeah.
So you would say it's not really correlated to yoga. It's more like
No,
the
no,
state of
no.
your body.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would say. But also, I'm not a doctor, which I also
Yeah.
wanted to maybe, while we are talking, I think it's also important for people that are maybe thinking, should they do yoga, should they not? What I realized, some people, maybe a lot of people, think that a yoga teacher has a big knowledge on anatomy, diseases, which
Hmm.
not is necessarily always the case. Uh, because yeah, it's not doctors. We are not doctors. We never studied. Some yoga teachers for sure did, but most of people teaching yoga haven't studied medicine. We do study anatomy at the yoga teacher training, yes, but that's not a full wide knowledge about the bodies. So sometimes at the classes, the teacher is usually asking if people have some medical issues that the teacher should know about. And then maybe some students ask, yes, I have this and this, and I'm not sure, I don't know what to do about it. So then the teachers usually, I think, answer. This is what I answer. If it's something that I don't know about, that this needs to be checked with a doctor or a physiotherapist that could tell if the person can do yoga and maybe what to avoid. Yoga teachers, they don't have usually this very wide knowledge about that. So for yeah, that's I think useful information also for people that are maybe have some issues and are considering maybe starting doing yoga.
Hmm. So if we would put all in a bucket,
Mhm.
can we say, so can we agree on one thing? Does yoga have to hurt generally or not? Shouldn't hurt?
um, Depends what you mean by hurt. Experiencing physical pain.
Probably, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, what we say, teachers, we want to push a little bit. We want to always push a bit more, just so we are not too lazy. Because if we don't
Okay.
push ourselves a bit, then
Yeah.
we will never progress.
Hmm.
But if it hurts, we really experience pain, it means it's too much. And if we are in specific asana that really hurts us, usually it's back because people are not really caring so much about their backs nowadays. We really shouldn't push to pain.
Okay.
Um, and we need to feel it. So again, this attention and care and mindfulness about our body would help us to understand, am I just pushing a little bit so I can, progress, or I'm hurting myself? And
Hmm.
the teacher would never answer this question for you because it's your body, you feel it. So the person needs to really answer the question. But I wouldn't say it hurts. It's just as any other physical exercise, it's going out of your comfort probably.
Hmm. And then, for example, I know that there are specific poses in yoga which are particular for certain body pains, and if you do them correctly, they actually help you relieving
Mhm.
those. Right? If you look at it from a different angle, can you confirm that for us?
Yes, that's for sure. There are different asanas that are focusing on different body parts, and maybe people would see in the yoga studios, maybe a common yoga lesson is office yoga. So for people that sit a lot, so for the lower back pain or back pain in general, the neck, shoulders, and we have specific asanas that we know that they are good for, working on that issues. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
now that we're mentioning, people working in an office, like what would you recommend people that are working all day? Not well, right now, nobody's working in the office, but we still work at home. So,
mhm.
how much time per day would be sufficient to at least have our body moving, right? And like make the body practice some of these poses. How
Hmm.
how long is it enough to keep our body in a good shape, practicing
Hmm.
yoga?
Yeah, so I think this is a question to the doctor, probably, or physiotherapist.
Hmm.
What I would say from my experience and what I see, um, every day you need to move at least a little bit.
Hmm.
15 minutes walk, I would say, even it's a bit short. Half an hour, go outside, fresh air, which is, I think, very important, not to stay in a closed apartment all day. Go for a walk, maybe. I know now the weather is not the best in Prague, but it doesn't matter. We need fresh air and we're moving. So being outside, maybe. I'm now, I'm not speaking from my yoga teacher point of view, just a human being point of
Yeah.
view. I would say half an hour a day of moving, not necessarily exercises like specific, I don't know, fitness something or playing football. I don't mean that. Just move your body, put your body in different positions. So it's not only or sitting or standing or laying down. So every day, really.
But what if we talk about the yoga, right? So which positions are like the most
Uh-huh.
neutral, right? Neutral that we could implement in our day-to-day life, while working from home.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I'm gonna present you.
Excellent. That's
So
what we want.
yeah, when people, okay, I need to then show you
Okay.
better. So when people sit at the computer, I think very common body posture is this.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, we need to straighten up, make our
Mm-hmm.
spine long and straight, um, while our shoulders, we don't want, when we get stressed, a lot of tension and emotional tension we gather
Mm-hmm.
in our shoulders.
Yeah.
So very often the shoulders go up to the ears when we
Yeah.
are cold, when we are stressed. So straighten up your spine and relax your shoulders. Make
Mm-hmm.
space between your ears and your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we've got that, uh, abdominal muscles need to be active. So we want to kind of suck your belly in. So you feel actually it's not just, floated piece of air inside. No, make it active so you can feel it. And that's already perfect position for working. I know when you work all day, you sit at the desk 8 hours, of course you forget, but maybe put a sticker above your desk and straighten up, relax your shoulders, take a breath in, breath out, okay, and continue working.
I guess it's just implementing the small habits day by day, right? And
Yeah,
if it works for somebody to put stickers on, I don't know, in the room, in the kitchen, then fine, right?
yeah,
Then once you practice more and more, that habit becomes your reality, and then you don't have to put stickers anymore.
yeah. What I hear from people that they have this curved spine because of the way they are sitting a lot. When I tell them like, "Oh, straighten up," when they do, they say like, "But I feel so stupid. Am I looking weird now?" When they are, just proper position. Um, so it feels very new for people, I think, usually. But once they get used to the proper pose, it would feel very weird for them to be like this. I cannot imagine sitting like that.
Hmm.
So it's we get used to everything. If we get used to the wrong position, we would think this is the standard. But we can fix it, and then it will be difficult to ruin it again.
Hmm. So now we're talking, what we can do to improve our posture, right? So then, from your experience, what do people, most of us, do wrong in yoga? And we really, this is some pattern that you have seen throughout the time, and you can basically talk about it a bit and raise some awareness for us.
Okay. So I think that the spine, curved spine, probably is the most common issue.
So this kind of like yeah.
Yeah. So for example, when we are standing up. we would
Yeah.
be curved.
Automatically kind of goes down, right?
Exactly. So always remember in yoga, in and not in yoga, just
Mhm.
standing up, sitting, walking to straighten up. And very easy way actually how to check. I will go back to your question. I just remember a very easy trick to check if we are
Sure.
fine in our posture is to see. Now I can't look into the camera and show you, but our ear and the
Uh-huh.
shoulder needs to be in the same line.
Okay.
Often people, I think, because they want to kind of be closer to their to the screen, they have this head in front, and
Mhm.
then maybe even when they are not working, the head would stay this way. So the ear on the shoulder line, and then when we are standing up, on ear, shoulder, and the hip in one
Mhm.
line.
One line. Mhm.
Yeah,
So 3 points
one line.
you have to
Ear,
have.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So the yoga. So the spine is, I think, the most common thing, simply because we are not aware of, mm, how it that it's not good for our body. And then once people do more and more yoga or awareness of the proper posture, they would naturally sit down and be straight.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So then for the girls, the pelvis is also a common issue. Let me check if I can show you here.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So often the girls are curving the spine here. We need to always tuck the pelvis in. So
Uh,
the spine is not curving in the lower back. We need to tuck the pelvis in. So that's for the girls. Yeah.
but look, like we know it in theory, right? But how do we actually transition it to practice? Give us some practical tips besides the stickers on the in the kitchen.
Oh well. Try to find a way how to remember about it. And maybe I don't know, up some notification on the phone, straighten up.
Mm.
Whatever would work for you. I think, and here I think it's my floor now to recommend people going for yoga, because the more we practice, the more we remember about it in our everyday life. Uh, I see people sometimes coming to the class, like that. Then they sit on the mat and they are, sitting properly because they remember in this situation, in these circumstances, when I'm on the mat, I'm sitting like that. But
Yeah.
this is for the beginners that came to the classes already sometimes. And the more our body has a memory, our body remembers. That's why at the beginning of practicing yoga, starting, maybe you really don't feel the teacher tells you straighten up, you feel you are straighten up, but you are not, because the body still doesn't know this pose. But after some time, the body remembers, okay, now I'm straight, and
Mm.
then the body wants it. If it feels good for the body wants it. So we would remember then in everyday life. About the ways, well, I would have to think a bit more how to remember stickers. I don't know. Maybe ask your colleague or whoever you live with, hey, wherever you see I'm doing this, please remind me, because often
Help me.
we don't realize that we are
Yeah.
doing certain things.
So whatever you can involve, do that, and
Yeah.
slowly but surely, you can get to your desired outcome, right? So it's just to put an intention as like, okay, in 1 month, I want to remember that I need to sit straight throughout the whole day, not just only when I go to yoga.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that. This is, because it's important. We can talk a lot about the theory. We know what things mean, but I guess the key here is really making sure that we implement it in our life and we do the practical part and we really uh, we really do everything that we can for our bodies to help them, right? And not
Yeah.
only hearing that, oh, this is probably good, but until I do it, maybe another year will pass, right? So kind of
Hmm.
put the symbiosis between what you know or what you want to achieve for yourself. So
Yeah. And when we are talking about that, sorry,
yeah.
I would add one more thing that when someone is willing to remembering about straight back, or for the girls, usually, sorry, the pelvis tucked in, when you are willing to do that, anyone, I'm talking to our audience, and yeah, anyone who would like to do that, add the breathing. So it's so important for us to breathe properly and to
Mhm.
breathe intentionally,
Mhm.
to take the full breath in to the bottom of the belly. Um, and yeah, maybe again, sticker, I don't know, notification on the phone, something, find your way and just take a breath in and out. It's biology that it's calming us down. So again, once we do it for some time, we would realize that it's actually really good. I'm feeling really good when I do that. It's so simple. It's so
Mhm.
small thing that everyone can do, and it takes 1 second. So the second two things to for people that are willing to work on themselves to do in the day.
Mhm. Thanks very much for sharing. I think, all these small things can have a great impact if we really put the intention to have them part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I would like to continue now with this section that I like to have in my sessions, the truths and myths about, in this case, about yoga. So let's go over, um, um, some sentences, right, or some stereotypes that
Hmm.
exist around yoga. So hopefully you'll shed some light for us and provide us um, some, let's say, proper insights into that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
one condition is that yoga is only for young people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So like we were talking before, with the flexibility or weight, it really doesn't matter how old you are, what age you are. Yoga can be practiced by children, very small children. I actually work in kindergarten, and we do yoga with 3, 4 years old children, as well as elderly people. Anyone. It's yeah. If you go to the yoga class, you do the asanas, meditation, breathing. You would realize that there's nothing that would stop anyone at any age to do that. It's just working on yourself, and everyone can do that. It's not, it's, and also, of course, maybe someone would think, maybe, I don't know, I am this age and I think it would be too maybe difficult for me at this age. Maybe this class with this teacher, yes. Maybe find another one. Maybe individual classes, so the teacher can really adjust the sequence to so the poses to your body. But for sure, it's very beneficial for anyone at any age.
so it's a myth, right? Yoga is for everybody. Feel free. Cool. and then yoga means total lifestyle change. If you want to do yoga, you have to completely change your lifestyle. You have to eat vegetarian. You have to do this. So I guess that's also something that people think, and it's stopping some people to start this.
Mm-hmm. Myth. If you want to change all your lifestyle, you change all your lifestyle. If you don't, you change what you want. So if someone wants to attend yoga classes, he's spending this 1 hour a week, for example, doing yoga. And then if the person understands, likes how what yoga is in general, then you implement other things. Maybe you start doing the asanas more often, and then maybe you start meditating, then maybe you do some breathing exercises, maybe you decide to change your diet, be more aware, and mindful about things, and so on and so on, everything we've talked about and more.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want, of course you can change things, a
Mhm.
lot of things in your life. But for
But
sure,
you cannot force it.
I wouldn't be stopped by that.
Yeah. All right. You cannot force
Hmm.
it if you want to do, but that doesn't mean that. Okay. Thanks for
Yeah.
clarifying that. And then doing yoga will elevate people spiritually.
Yeah, I think so, but I think it also depends on the approach of the person practicing yoga. If someone takes it only as a physical practice and nothing else, then it won't
Mm-hmm.
elevate your spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe a lot of teachers are focused on the spirit. I believe, I hope a lot of teachers are focused on the spirituality as well. So if you go to yoga class like that, you would encounter, some ideas about it. And if you are open to accept it, you would for sure um, be maybe more, thinking about the mind and psychology and how it what it is. But you need to want it. I think it's also possible to do just asanas for all your life, but not liking the other aspects of yoga and stay like this all your life.
Hmm.
So
And
you
then
need
a
to
fun.
be open. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Did you want to say
Yeah, I
something?
just said you need to be open for
Yeah.
the full the
Experience.
full yeah, exactly, the full experience. If you are not, it won't make any difference for you,
I
which
see.
is also fine, probably.
Exactly. It really you are free to choose whatever suits you better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then a funny one. Yoga is too girly for men.
Hmm. Yeah, I know. This is interesting that it's looking like this in Europe. I think maybe in India, not really, maybe even the opposite. And actually, yoga was invented by men.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think I don't know why. I don't know origins of this idea, but that's true that I did yoga in a few countries in Europe, and mostly girls, women are coming to classes.
Hmm.
But it really doesn't matter. Anyone, men, women, uh, should do yoga.
Hmm. And talking about women, is it okay to do yoga during period?
Yes, again, it's how you feel. If
Hmm.
so, I what I know from like my biological classes is that it's good to move your body while you are in your special days. It
Hmm.
relieves the pain, actually relaxes you.
Hmm.
But I know some girls are very big pain, and
Hmm.
they can't even think of moving at that time.
Hmm.
But if you can, I think it's good for you. And then talking about yoga, sometimes maybe some teachers would tell you not to do specific asanas when you are on your period, which I'm not following really. Were also the teachers where I did my yoga training didn't really agree with that. Again, you do what you feel. If you the because the asanas I'm talking about are the upside down asanas. So if you feel like you want to do it and it would feel good in your body, do it. There's no biological obstacles for that.
Obstacle. Mhm.
Yeah.
And for example, is it contraindicated for pregnant women to do yoga? So is yoga prohibited for pregnant women?
So when you're pregnant, you need to be careful when you do yoga, and I would recommend to make sure that your yoga teacher knows more about it, because this is kind of like the whole um, knowledge about
Hmm.
practicing when you're pregnant. You cannot do twists simply talking. For example, like often in yoga, you do like this kind of positions. Sorry, my throat today. For sure, you cannot do that. If you haven't done yoga before, you got pregnant, maybe it's not the best idea to start when you're pregnant because you are not really familiar with the asanas and movements. Um, but I'm not a specialist of this type of yoga, so I would check again. Maybe someone would say that you can start, but I would guess that the teacher would recommend you to start slowly. Um, and if you have done yoga before, you can continue until end of your pregnancy if it feels fine for you. Of course, avoiding some like twists, for example, and or laying down on your belly, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But generally, it's
So
not prohibited, right? Just
no,
generally.
no. Generally speaking, it's possible to do yoga even until end of your pregnancy.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting conversation, and thank you for really, because it may sound like so easy and so simple, but like we don't really know. Can we? Can
Mhm.
we not?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is
Yes.
very,
Of course.
yeah. Thank you again for this interesting part. I want to actually talk to you about the yoga classes that you're doing in the park, and how did you come up to do
Mhm.
it there, and who's attending it, and how is the mood, and how is the atmosphere? Tell me more about it.
Uh, so I was saying that I got my certificate to be able to teach with papers just before the pandemic started, and my original plan was to teach uh, face to face, let's call it this way. But because of the obvious circumstances, I couldn't. So I had my yoga classes online,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was really great that I could do that, and there were people practicing with me. But now, as the weather is better, it's trying to be
Maybe.
better. The sun is shy, but it's trying. So let it give some time, hopefully, so it will be here fully. But there are some moments that I'm always checking forecast carefully, and when I see some hope, then I schedule my park yoga lesson, and it's in Greboka in Prague too. Then I schedule the yoga class, and it's 1 hour class open to everyone, all level of practitioners. I'm always trying to explain things from the scratch so that beginners know what we are doing, and people that already know, even before my explanation, then they just follow
Mhm.
the flow sequence. And so yeah, it's I'm waiting for the sunny day so it's not a fixed time. Now this week is happening. So the next week is happening on Monday at 6 p.m. If anyone would like to join, there is on my Facebook page Yoga Iga. There is an event with the location that you can follow on Google Maps, and who comes. Different there is not a rule. I think mostly it's girls, like I said, so guys, men, come on, join us. We need some balance in the
Join
group, but also more girls come. We need a nice big group. We already have a very nice group, and yeah, it's people who want yoga, and they found me, I think, simply on Facebook. um, and yeah, we always start with a little meditation. I try not to have it too short, too long, so everyone
us.
is happy with that. And then there is the asana part, the sequences, and then we finish in shavasana. So when you are laying down, and it's very relaxing. And I'm sometimes playing. Do I have here? I'm playing this, which makes beautiful sounds.
Okay.
The bowl. And so this is it, and I think it's very nice. I love it, and people come back, so I think they like it too.
Good sign.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
So it's not
I'm
like it's,
also uh,
yeah.
sorry, I'm also giving individual classes if
Okay.
anyone watching us would be interested.
Yeah, cool. We can share the link after the session for everyone interested. But so there's no like one particular day at an exact hour where you all meet. It's more like weather dependent sessions. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's impossible to schedule one day now that we would be sure it's gonna be warm and not rainy. So I'm following the forecast. Yeah, and probably I won't be in Prague for summer. I mean, July and August, I probably won't be in Prague. I'll be traveling and
Mm.
doing my practice, focusing on my practice more. Yeah, now we have time in June, and then in September, hopefully it will be still warm, so we will keep on going with the park yoga classes.
Yeah, so I suggest everyone to follow your page, Yoga Iga page, and the latest updates will be posted on that page. And but even yeah, it's a pity actually you're not here for the summer when the weather hopefully will get better. Uh, but we're gonna still look forward to the autumn sessions because autumns in Prague typically are beautiful and. With the
Yeah,
views in Grabovka, I'm sure that it can be a great time. But
yeah, it's
thank
a
you
very
for
nice one.
actually doing it. Thank you for doing it and for kind of sharing your knowledge. Sharing the energy. I really hope that more people join and everybody sees the benefits. It's not only the postures and also the movements that we're going to do, but it's also sharing good mood with other people, exchanging ideas, and also complain maybe if something hurts.
Yeah, and I would say it's a different experience to practice in a group. Maybe some people practice yoga now during the lockdown alone at home with a screen. I would say it's a whole different experience to be there with people around you, and you take inhale together and exhale together, and you see people, and yeah, the energy, like you said, in the group, it's I think very important and motivating. So if someone is, for example, looking for motivation to do that, I think it's way easier in the group.
So I guess what would be the main difference between online classes and face-to-face classes, like group classes? It's this group energy mostly, or there's really no difference actually? I don't know. So you tell
Mm,
me.
I would say there are differences, and probably everyone would give us a slightly different answer. I would say the one, from my perspective, the teacher's perspective, as I can see students, or even if I'm not doing it this way. I was doing it on Facebook, so I couldn't see students. Some teachers do it on Zoom or some other platforms, applications, so they can see the screen, but you can't really adjust. So at the yoga class in the park, I'm coming to everyone individually and like trying to, show where the body should go, adjusting the asanas, the people individually. When you do it online, you cannot,
I see.
which is
Well,
a pity. Yeah, and you do it verbally, you say things, but sometimes it's very nice to just feel, the teacher just push you a little bit to where it's supposed to go. Um, so this is one thing, and vice versa for the students. I believe it's also they would also prefer the teacher to be there with them, so the teacher really sees what they are doing. Yeah, and then I think the other important aspect is the group feeling, the community, and the energy that you can't feel when you do it alone at home. And I think it's good to have some time not in front of your screen. So it's
right.
simply nicer to be in the park on the grass with the birds singing above your head. These different smells. We are very close to the river, so you hear the water floating. It's the whole experience, different senses working.
Well, for the second year already, we are facing times which we didn't think we'll ever experience, right? So of course we had to adjust a lot,
Yeah,
uh, our
for sure.
lifestyle in general. But as long as we keep our positive mindset, and even though we're doing online classes, we can still try to benefit from it as much as possible,
Yeah,
right? And of course
yeah, yeah,
now that
yeah. I'm happy you're saying this. Yeah,
yeah. Yes. And now the restrictions are going to
hmm
get lower. Even if you're not in Prague, we can all still go to Grebovka and practice by ourselves, right? And we can still hear the birds singing.
yeah.
and get together.
Yeah, exactly like you're saying. Yeah, I think if someone, I don't know, doesn't have a choice or chooses the online classes, of course, I think I was, now talking more from like what I would like, but I completely understand that sometimes you cannot, like we couldn't for a very long time. We
Yeah.
simply couldn't meet and yoga together. And then it's perfect that, we have this possibility to do it online.
Yeah, great. Yoga, yoga is generally so great, and I'm talking from my perspective, and I really encourage people to think about it and get to learn more about this practice, because it really brings this stillness in very challenging times. So thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your tips, right? Your practical tips for us. I can't believe the time has flown by so fast.
Yeah, it was
But
fast.
I'm super grateful and appreciative for having you today in my session, and I really wish you all the best in your yoga endeavors. I do hope we all meet at your yoga sessions in Grabovka, more often in Grabovka than online, let's say. And I look forward to talk to you again soon at some point.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me and very nice conversation. Namaste.
Thank you, Iga, and have a great summer ahead. If you're not going to be in Prague, then we're going to be looking forward to see each other in autumn for the yoga classes in Grabovka. And
Yeah.
thank you again for your
Then we have
participation.
June and then again August, yes, and then again autumn.
Yes, thanks, Iga, and all the best to you.
Thank you. All the
Bye
best.
bye.
Bye bye.